Okay, y'all, it is story time. This is my journey to an 850 credit score. So picture this. It's 1994. R. Kelly was in. Puff Daddy was definitely in. A lot of those people were in. But this little girl right here was off to college. And she was excited. She had never visited the campus before. She was new, fresh, and bright. She had no family there. She had no friends. And she had no money. You see, I came from a low income home, one income home, in little town of South Carolina. And I was going to one of the largest schools in the United States, Michigan State University. And yes, I had room and board included, but I did not receive a full ride. I had a partial scholarship. And so it was up to me to pretty much pay my way. I didn't have the financial support that a lot of people had at the school. It was, I want to say, 90 something percent Caucasian school and about 4% black at the time. So of 40,000 students, you're talking about 1,600 students were African American. And there were a lot of credit card companies with their tables set up in front of the dorms. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to trap you. And I fell for the trap, y'all. I received 6 credit cards. I signed up for 6 credit cards. I was more excited about the little trinkets that they were giving out. The pens, the paper, not paper, but the pens, the t-shirts, the cups, it was keychains, whatever. I was excited about that. It was free. But what I did not realize was what was going to bound me for 7 years, because I did not have the financial education that I needed in order to take on 6 credit cards. In about 2 weeks, those 6 credit cards came in the mail and they had $500 limits. And I had no job. Work study hadn't started. I never had a job in my life. And I had this money to play with. And I didn't know how I was going to pay it back. If you know anything about being on a college campus, well, at Michigan State anyway, I'm not sure what it's like now, but back then, the cafeteria closed at like 7 o'clock, maybe 8. That was on a good day. That may not have been on a Sunday. 8 o'clock may have been during the weekday. But it closed early. And if you know anything about being in college and studying and staying up and hanging out with your friends, you get hungry after 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I still get hungry now after 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And so what did I have to use? Because mommy didn't put money in my account. I didn't have an account. I didn't know anything about a banking account. They didn't teach me that in high school. So I had 6 credit cards, $3,000 to work with, no job to help even pay off the low monthly fee. And it just got out of hand. And so pizza late at night and Stromboli's and McDonald's and KFC and all of those places like that late at night became my best friend. And Taco Bell, we're not even going to talk about that. That was walkable. And so those 5 credit cards, those 6 credit cards that I had, the limits, I didn't get over it, but I was at the limits. I wasn't until Christmas time, where I said, you know what, I'm really going to go all out. I wanted my little brother, my little baby brother, to have the best Christmas known to mankind. And I was traveling from Michigan to South Carolina with little baby Air Jordans, outfits, teddy bears, you name it. He was going to have the best Christmas. And I put it all on my credit card. And I came back from winter break. And, you know, at this time I did have a job. I was working in the food court. But it wasn't paying me enough to pay back, you know, the utilization that I used from the credit card. We're not going to talk about how back then, when you called long distance, it was by the minute. And a lot of times we used our credit cards to pay for that. We're not going to talk about that. But all I know, it was getting out of hand. And it got uncontrollable. And I went into debt. And then the credit card started doing a bad debt write-off. And back then, they had what you call a judgment. And you actually had to show up in court. And it was the most embarrassing experience that I've ever had in my life. And my bank account was overdrawn. And I just made some really bad financial decisions. And it followed me for 7 years. And when I left school, I didn't finish school. I did finish school. I finished school later, but I didn't finish at Michigan State. But when I left school and decided to go and try to get my own place in Philadelphia, everyone said no because my credit was so bad. My uncle, thank God for him, co-signed for me, took a chance on me. And I promised him, and I promised myself that I would not ever put myself, if I had any control over it, not ever put myself back in a position like that. And so I made sure that I paid my bills. Whatever bills that I had, I made sure I paid them. And I was determined. And so one day, you know, Target was on the move. They were opening stores all over the place. And goes that table again, sitting in the front when you walk in. And me and my aunt, you know, we tried to pass it, but it was tempting. And we signed up for a credit card. And Target decided to take a chance on me. And they gave me a $200 limit. And it was only a Target card, so you know, didn't have a Visa, MasterCard, or any type of Discover or anything on it. It was only strictly Target. And so I would use the Target card, and I would pay it off. If I used 100, I paid 100 when it was due. I didn't mess with it. And they saw my consistency, and they saw, you know, that I was on time. And so they raised the credit. So it went from 200 to 500. And I did the same thing, the same habits. Now, yes, it helps that you have a job, a stable job, you know, when you're trying to build your credit. It absolutely helps. But there's a discipline, a strong discipline that comes with building your credit. And so they saw how good I was handling $500, and they raised it to $1,000. And I'm like, okay, I can make some nice purchases. But now that $1,000 has a Visa attached to it. So I don't have to just use it at Target. So I'm using it other places, but I am paying it off. 100% paying it off, not leaving a balance at all. And after a couple of years of establishing that, at 1,000, they raised it again. And now it's 2,500. But now I'm getting other offers from credit cards. And I'm saying, okay, I can handle that. Let me get another credit card. And so I got another credit card. And it wasn't secured or anything. It was a straight up $1,000 credit limit, and they're seeing my good habits, my good paying habits, and they're raising it. And then another one comes. But what I'm trying to tell you is the discipline of paying on time, and preferably paying before the month is out, is what's going to help you to build your credit score. I believe that sometimes you have to go through some really rough times and some rock bottoms to understand how important it is to be better in a specific area. And I had to go through not being able to get anything that I applied for and being embarrassed. You know how embarrassing it is to apply for a department store card and to be rejected? First of all, rejection is difficult in itself. But a department store credit card where you might just want to buy a coat, or something of that nature, and for them to say, sorry, oh, this is my favorite. You'll receive a letter in the mail because there was no instant credit. It's embarrassing, but the discipline that it takes to make sure that, one, you save, you put some money to the side, and two, that you pay your bills on time is very, very important. But I'm not going to continue on with the story now. I'm going to wait until the next video. I can tell you this. It gets better. And you're going to want to hear how I went from judgments, charge-offs, bad debt, to an 850 credit score. It takes time, but it's doable, and you can do it.